Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. I am back. I am Dak Cohen. Yes, you heard that right. Dak Cohen is back. Sorry, I have been taking a break from podcasting because I have been so busy recently in my to-do life of school, and well, I just came back from Washington D.C. as of last week. You may be wondering, so why haven't you uploaded since week 3 of the NFL? Well, because I'm not going to talk about the NFL weeks constantly, but there's have been a few things that happened since I've been gone. Um, yeah, I went to Washington D.C. Spent a whole week there. It was me and my grandma. We stayed at a 2-star hotel. It was okay to say the least. Minus there being a dirty tissue every time, but it is what it is. Um, yeah, so we got there on that Monday. We went out to dinner. We were so tired from the plane, just couldn't figure out anything to have there. Um, hmm, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, that was Monday. Nothing really happened Monday. Or no, Sunday. Sorry, Sunday. Got there Sunday night. Really did nothing. That was all Sunday. Monday. Um. Monday we. Oh, that's right. Yep. Monday we went to Ford's Theater. Let's just say that was an interesting treat to witness. Just witness the whole history of Ford's Theater, and yeah, it's still an active theater, but witness the whole history of it. Quite interesting. You get to see the actual booth that Lincoln died at. Um, I got to go inside the Peterson's house where he actually died at, and then there's the saloon there that his security guard just he told off inside. Well, time such and such. So yeah, I went to Ford's Theater. Uh, they had a bunch. They had a bunch of cameras, and I mean a bunch. Um, so yeah, that was quite interesting. And interesting story is that there's a big book tower. There's a there's a huge book set consisted of 15,000 books about Abraham Lincoln that I saw. And I was like, wow, how many books can one president have? Really. Just really. It was quite interesting. So, yeah, there's that. Then, I went to a couple art. I went to a bunch of art museums. Beautiful places, you know. Um, yeah, went to the National Gallery of Art, seen a bunch of art that was interesting. And then my favorite Smithsonian museum. Out of all the Smithsonians that are there in Washington D.C., my favorite has to probably be there in space. just because it has so much history there, And heck, they even had the actual Wright Flyer and the Apollo 13 mission from there. Then on Wednesday, I went into the White House, and it was very, very interesting, to say the least. That was fun. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, went to the Freer, another Smithsonian, but art museum. Quite interesting. Um, Something that we did. I think this was also Wednesday or Tuesday. We went to the Freer, or we went to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. That one was a little heavy inducing, not too much though. But a lot of people say, it's heavy inducing, right? I didn't think it was that heavy inducing whatsoever. You know, it's just showing us how the genocide could still be a thing in current day history. But to see what people witnessed is just a shame. It really is. So yeah, Holocaust Museum. That was really a shame, and I hope we have nothing like that again. I really do. I really do hope so. Then later that night, we went to the memorials at night though, not during the day. At night, there was one. We went to the FDR one. Couldn't find Eleanor. Uh, Went to Martin Luther King. Went to Hiroshima. The Hiroshima photo that I took is gorgeous. Lincoln's Memorial. Then went to the African American History Museum. That was quite an interesting treat. Kind of just going through the history of what people had to go through, the enslaved people, and all that. Even during segregation, the Jim Crow laws, it was really terrible. Just to witness that, it's like, what? Why? So, and then we went to the American, and then I went to the. We did a quick stop at the American History Museum. Definitely. Um, you know, some important stuff like Washington's typewriter, his um, his original his original sc- um, his original um, telescope that he used during the the um, American Revolutionary War. and it survived all this time. I don't even know how. The original iPod and an iPod box, and they had it honored. They honored Nipsey Hussle. Bill Nye's original coat from when he wore at the show. Um, when the original Rocky, you know, robe he wore. A drawing of Steamboat Willie, the original, a Muhammad Ali robe that he wore to the ring, a yellow, yellow cloud guitar of Prince, and Mister Rogers' Neighborhood original jacket he wore, which was quite interesting to say the least. So I had fun there. A little quick stop. Then afterwards, we went to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum. Didn't really spend that much time in there, but it was quite interesting. Oops. Then went to the Supreme Court. Got to actually sit inside the actual court and listen to a debrief about a little bit of the history of why the Supreme Court's there and how they do business on regular when they're in session. Quite interesting. And funny thing is, I'm sitting there next to my grandma, thinking nothing about it. And so the guy asked the question, "So who sits to the right side of Chief Justice John Roberts?" I, you know, I blurted out and said Clarence Thomas, and he's like, "Yep, correct." So I was pretty happy that I got that correct. It was quite interesting. So yeah, had fun doing that. Sorry for the dead silence. I was listening to the video I made. So yeah, went there, had fun, listened to a nice debrief, quite entertaining experience. And then, kind of a lame U.S. Capitol tour building or U.S. Capitol, tour. Pretty short, and you had to wear these like you had to wear these like clunky ass you had to wear these clunky ass headphones so you can actually listen to your guide a little bit better. Oh, I hated those. I hate they had those type of old fashioned elementary school headphones. So that was interesting. Then we went to Library of Congress, and where they actually had the actual Gutenberg Bible, which is quite interesting. Gutenberg Bible, um, some type of room, seen into the actual library. and then in case and then there's a case of Jefferson's books. They're just there. They're just there. They're there. So they were marked with different bookmarks, and green meant these were original books that Jefferson owned, and they survived all this way. So most of those were there. And then the gold ones were the ones that were purchased and replaced. And then there's another category where they just, were replicas and they weren't the actual thing. Because when Thomas Jefferson originally donated his books to the Library of Congress, um, the original Library of Congress building burned down. So then they rebuilt another one. They rebuilt it, and most of those books that were from the original burning fire of the Library of Congress original building somehow survived. It's a miracle it survived, but it survived. It you know it. I was like, how? You know. Oh, went too far. Whoops. Yeah, so that was Library of Congress, and just seeing like Jefferson's book survive all these centuries later. It's like, wow. Oh, did I post the same photo twice? What? No way. That's a glitch. Maybe I was too tired and got the same phone multiple times. Don't think I did, but oh well. Then I went to Kennedy's gravesite in Arlington Cemetery 7 days ago. The Eternal Flame. And then got to see the Supreme Court justices that were laid to rest there. Or RIP to them. And then that was Arlington Cemetery. So then, okay, we're at this part. So basically, um, what I'm looking at here is we went to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We were there in time for the changing of the guard, and on that day specifically, it was the Navy's 248th birthday, and so we got to witness that because they brought out generals for that thing, and you don't usually see generals for that that occasion. But since it was the Navy's 248th birthday, they did that, and it was such a everybody there in attendance, including me and my grandma, it was a once in a lifetime experience, and I'm glad we got to see it. It was very, very interesting. And then just to finish off our week, we kind of just said hi to I kind of just said hi to my cousins. That's about it. And then that was my trip to Washington, D.C. I had fun, went to a bunch of art museums, a bunch of them, I tell you. Um, my takeaway from this educational experience slash a fun trip is hanging out with cousins and um if I had to say what my favorite, Smithsonian museum was, had to be that's a hard it's really a toss up, but I'm gonna have to go Air and Space. It may be a popular, tourist museum, but um that Air and Space Museum was something else. So I'm gonna have to go to Air and Space Museum for the Smithsonian. Air and Space, Natural History Museum, and the Holocaust Museum were my top three. My most favorite experience when we were there that I did there. Well, that has to go to the monuments at night. I would definitely have to say monuments at night. So, yeah. So, yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this edition of the Dak Cohen podcast. I promise I'll be uploading more for sure. It probably will be about NBA stuff now since the preseason just started. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. Thank you guys for listening to this edition of the DatCom podcast. If you're new to everything here, well, you shouldn't be. You've been listening. But anyways, thank you guys for listening to this edition of the DatCom podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the DAC underscore podcast, the DAC underscore Cohen podcast, or at the DAC underscore podcast, blah, blah, blah. And follow us on Twitter at the Dak Cohen Podcast. I am your host, Dak Cohen, and I will see you guys next time for another edition of the Dak Cohen Podcast. Your host, Dak Cohen, out.